Good afternoon. Today is the 25th of April 2022. Welcome to Lunchtime News here on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Senita Senanayaka. News First, where the people come first. Let's first take a look at the headlines.
Teachers and principals commence a trade union action. Academic activities halted. Protest at Golface continues for the 17th consecutive day. Will the prices of 61 medicinal drugs increase? Prime Minister to table proposal to reenact 19th Amendment. Special Mass in Vatican in memory of April 21st victims. Emmanuel Macron secures 5 more years as France's president.
On to those stories in detail. Academic activities in schools have been hampered today owing to the island-wide token strike launched by 30 teachers and principals trade unions.
General Secretary of the Ceylon Teachers Union, Joseph Stalin, said the token strike is being carried out over the failure of the government to provide solutions to the issues faced due to the hike in fares of the transport sector and measures taken by the government to suppress the people. He said the Education Secretary was requested to allow teachers to work at a school that is near their home given the political and economic crises, or provide another alternative, adding that this request was rejected. Accordingly, the Teachers Union have launched the strike action against the government's mismanagement of the economy. The daily activities at schools were hampered across the island today, including in Colombo, with very poor turnout of students today. According to our correspondents, in certain areas such as Kurunegala, students who attended schools today were seen returning home as there were no teachers to conduct academic activities. Daily academic activities of schools in Colombo were not carried out today. Our correspondent said a low number of students were seen attending the schools in Kurunegala. Certain students had left the school premises as teachers had not reported to work. A low level of students' attendance was reported in schools in Polonnaruwa. Many students did not attend school in Kalapura today. Meanwhile, teachers from schools around Galle headed to Colombo today to join the protest in Golface. A march parallel to the island-wide trade union action launched by the teachers and principals was organized by a group of teachers. The march took place in Kandy. The group marched from the Gatame Junction to Kandy town.
4 million school students, hundreds of thousands of teachers and the general public are facing severe difficulties due to the crisis created by the wrong decisions taken by this government. We are here expressing our dissent. Meanwhile, protests at Golface against the government and the crisis that has affected the general public is running for its 17th consecutive day. Rochelle Tummodara joins us with the latest.
Right now, I'm opposite the President's office right in Golface, where the protest that commenced a few weeks back is still going strong. And as you know, today is a Monday, a working Monday, but still there's a lot of people here gathered since morning, still fighting for their rights, and people from all walks of life and all parts of Sri Lanka are here today as well, even though it's a working day. And speaking of the vehicular movement, there is no traffic as of now, and the high concentration of the people is seen opposite the President's office and besides the roads, and their demands have been made clear, and what they're demanding is for the higher authorities, including the President and the government, to resign from their positions.
The protest stage demanding the resignation of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and government enters its 17th consecutive day today. Venerable Mathara Vimala Devathero continued the fast at the protest site today as well. Youth, representatives of the civil societies, social activists and many other participated in the protest. Despite heavy rains, people occupied the premises near the President's office and continued the protest.
Meanwhile, Sri Lankan expatriates continued their protests in solidarity with their fellow Sri Lankans here at home today as well.
A group of Sri Lankan expatriates in Northern Ireland engaged in a protest demanding the resignation of the government and President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Expatriates in the UK staged a protest opposite Victoria Square in Birmingham. A group of Sri Lankan expatriates living in Canada also engaged in a protest in Scarborough, demanding the immediate resignation of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Sri Lankans in Belgium staged a protest opposite the European Parliament in Brussels.
எல்லா அனைத்து வளங்களும் இலங்கையை சுற்றி கடல் மீன்கள் பிடிக்கிற எல்லா வளங்களும் இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு நாடு தான் இலங்கை நாடு. உலக
Meanwhile, protests are still continuing across the island demanding the resignation of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
A protest was staged in the center of the Variapola town, demanding the resignation of the government. Meanwhile, a group of people engaged in a protest opposite the residence of State Minister D.B. Herath. A protest was organized at the Pasyala Junction, demanding the resignation of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
Taking a look at a headline-making story this afternoon, Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith, along with a group of victims of the April 21st attacks, are scheduled to meet His Holiness Pope Francis at the Vatican today.
Pope Francis will hold a special mass and prayer service at 1:30 p.m. Sri Lankan time in memory of the victims of the April 21st attacks. The special mass will take place at the St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican with the participation of Sri Lankan expatriates in Italy. Archbishop Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit left for the Vatican in Rome last week with a group of victims of the April 21st attacks. The visit comes at the request of the Cardinal during a recent meeting with the Pope.
In some news from the Colombo Stock Exchange, the Colombo Stock Exchange resumed trading today after a week. However, the market will be closed for the rest of the day due to the S&P SL20 index dropping over 10% from the previous close. The Colombo Stock Exchange was temporarily closed from the 18th of April for a period of 5 business days, citing the present situation in the country. In more local news, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa is set to submit a proposal to the Cabinet of Ministers today on reenacting the 19th Amendment to the Constitution with essential and timely changes. Accordingly, the proposal to reenact the 19th Amendment will be tabled, seeking the approval of the Cabinet. Moving on, Secretary to the President Gamini Senarath says the President's office has received the report of the Committee on Constitutional Reforms. President's Secretary noted that the President has commended the efforts of the Chairman and the members of the Committee on Constitutional Reforms. He added that the government will take in-depth look to the report and decide on the future course of action. In more local news, the Sri Lankan Airlines has been summoned before the Committee on Public Enterprises today to inquire into its current performance.
COPE Chairman Professor Charitha Herath said the Secretary to the Ministry in charge of the subject, Chairman of Sri Lankan Airlines, the Board of Directors and other officials of Sri Lankan Airlines have been summoned to inquire into its bidding process for the lease of 21 aircraft. Although the heads of Sri Lankan Airlines were summoned to appear before COPE on the 20th of April, they failed to do so. Sri Lankan Airlines recently announced that it has called for 4 requests for proposals to lease up to 21 aircraft to support its long-term business strategy. In a statement, the country's national carrier said it plans to strengthen its fleet with 35 aircraft.
The National Medicines Regulatory Authority says the recommendations with regard to the price revisions of 61 pharmaceutical drugs will be handed over to the Minister of Health today. Chairman of the NMRA, Dr. Rasitha Vijayavantha, said the NMRA does not accept the request by importers to float the prices of pharmaceutical drugs under any circumstances.
Dr. Vijayavantha pointed out that the prices of 40 to 60% of medicines are being controlled through gazettes issued in this regard. He noted that measures were taken to increase the prices of medicines by 29% owing to the depreciation of the rupee against the US dollar. The relevant recommendations on the price revision will be presented to the Minister of Health considering the prevailing situation.
The National Council of Professionals hosted an event yesterday.
We are at the cusp of a turning point, a pivotal occasion in our forward march. We all have to unite, mobilize our energies and capacities, and make a strong determination to extricate our motherland. We in the SJB propose 2 major restructuring processes to rejuvenate, rebuild, reconstruct, and reinvent our motherland. First and foremost, let us work on the economic restructuring process. We as a country cannot succeed with isolationism. We have to be truly internationalist. We need to have an out-of-the-box approach to promote foreign direct investment. We have to think beyond our traditional parochial thinking. We have to promote accountability in government, responsibility in government. We have to reject and negate crony capitalism.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa is set to submit a proposal to the Cabinet of Ministers today on reenacting the 19th Amendment to the Constitution with essential and timely changes. Accordingly, the proposal to reenact the 19th Amendment will be tabled, seeking the approval of the Cabinet.
A senior government spokesperson said the new cabinet of ministers will meet for the first time at 5 p.m. today under the patronage of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The Samagi Jana Balawegaya, the United National Party and the independent group of MPs in Parliament submitted their proposals for the 21st Amendment to the Constitution to the Speaker last Friday. Speaker Mahinde Apabewardena said the proposals were handed over to the Prime Minister to be tabled in the Cabinet.
In your international news, Emmanuel Macron has won 5 more years as France's president after a convincing victory over rival Marine Le Pen, who nevertheless secured the far right's highest share of the vote yet.
He won by 58.55% to 41.45%, a greater margin than expected. The centrist leader told jubilant supporters at the foot of the Eiffel Tower that now the election was over, he would be a president for all. He is the first sitting president in 20 years to be re-elected. Despite her loss, Marine Le Pen, aged 53, said her significant vote share still marked a victory. She told her supporters the ideas her national rally represented had reached new heights, but far-right rival Eric Zemmour pointed out that she had ultimately failed, just like her father who preceded her. Marine Le Pen took over the party founded by her father, Jean-Marie Le Pen, in 2011 in a bid to make it electable. She won more than 13 million votes on Sunday on a platform of tax cuts to tackle the high cost of living and a referendum on immigration controls.
And that brings us to an end of this edition of Lunchtime News here on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I've been Senitha Senanayake. Take care and stay safe.